2.3 megabytes. And the high quality version is 4.6 megabytes. And it says yesterday the high quality was downloaded twice as often, so 2 times as much as the standard. And then that the total of both of them was 3105. And they want to know how many of the standard version were there. So let's go and start just by defining some variables. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and write let X be the standard. And I'm going to go ahead and put and Y be high quality. Oops. And Y, let me fix that. And Y be high quality. When I do these, I like to think of it as 2 different equations. I come up with something that's more in general, and then something that's specific. And a lot of times it's actually easier to see the more specific one because we've just have seen all those details. So it's going to be the more detailed one. So to be specific, we're talking about the amount of megabytes for each version, right? So let's do the specific one first. So if I'm thinking about how it said that the whole total was at 3105. So our equation would be that specifically to get to that 3105, we would have 2.3 for every standard version, which we said was X, plus 4.6 for that high quality version, which we put as Y, would equal that total of 3105. So that is our specific equation. Now, in general, it talks about just kind of like in general about the number of downloads, right? So it said that the high quality version was downloaded twice as often as the standard. So I'll just go and put Y equals X. And one of these is going to have a 2 in front of it, okay? But sometimes it's a little bit hard to figure out where it might go. So just kind of read it again, and we'll try to come up with it together, okay? So we'll have yesterday, the high quality version was downloaded twice as often. Okay, so the Y is twice as much as the X, right? So the Y equals, the equals means is, Y is twice as much as the X. Okay, so now we have our 2 equations. And notice that we have 2 variables in each of those, right? So do you see how this Y, another way to write Y would be to put 2X? So let's go ahead and with this Y down here, instead of writing Y, since they equal the same thing, let's just go ahead and write 2X. Okay, so I'm going to have 2.3X plus 4.6. We said we'd put in 2X here. I was going to change colors for you. Here we go. So instead of Y, 2X equals 3105. Okay, so now just solve it. Okay, so the 2.3x, we can't do anything with that quite yet. But 4.6 times 2x, I would get a plus 9.2x, equaling that 3105. Combine like terms. Okay, so I have 2.3x's plus another 9.2x's. That would give me, looks like 11.5x's, equaling that 3105. And then go ahead and divide both sides by 11.5. And we get x equals, and when I do that real quick, I get 270. We were talking about downloads, right? So let's go and label that downloads. And just to double check that we answered the right question, it says how many downloads of the standard version were there? And it looks like we said X was the standard, so it would be 270 downloads. All right, let's try a couple more of these. Okay, this one says at a movie theater that child admission is $5.50 and adult is $8.70. Tuesday, there were 3 times as many adult tickets as child tickets for a total of $1169.2. How many child tickets were sold that day? All right, so let's go ahead and define our variables again. I'm going to put, let C be child admission and A be adult admission. And again, let's go ahead and do general and specific. If you want to try the general first, you can. I tend to always go for the specific, just since there's so many details. I know that all the details are going to go with the specific one. So specifically, they're talking about the total amount of sales. So I know that's going to be what the child tickets cost. So that's going to be $550 of the child tickets plus the $870 of the adult admission tickets to get that grand total 1169.20. And in general, this is the one where it says 3 times. Okay, so 3 times as many adult tickets as child tickets. So I'm going to write the A and the C and try to figure out where that 3 goes for 3 times. So 3 times as many adult tickets as child tickets. So the A equals 3 times the amount of child. So A equals 3C. And now we've come up with another way to say A would just be 3C. So let's go ahead and pop that guy in there so that we just have one variable to worry about. So instead of A, I'm going to put 3C. And we'll just go ahead and simplify. 8.70 times 3, I get 26.1 C. Combine like terms, so the 550 and the 26.1 C's, I get 31.6 C's. Let's go ahead and divide. And I get C equals, and if I go ahead and divide those out, I get 37. What were we talking about here? We're talking about the number of tickets, right? So 37 tickets. And it asked us to find out how many child tickets were sold that day. And we said C was child tickets, so the answer would be 37 tickets. Let's try one more. So we have at the City Museum, child admission is $550, adult was $940. On Sunday, 169 were sold for a total of that $1202.50. And they want to know how many child tickets were sold that day. So go ahead and define our variables again. So I just start with the same thing. C is child, A is adult. And once again, general and specific. So specifically, the $550 for child plus looks like $940 for adult would be my grand total of the $1202.50. That one looks good. Now the other one, more general. Let's see, what information didn't we use it? We didn't use that 169. So in general, just overall, there were 169 tickets sold. So that would mean that the child plus adult would be 169. So that's just in general. So our other ones, we could just take that general and go plug it into something in the specific. This one, we have to do a teensy bit of work, okay? Because it doesn't just start right out like that for us. So let's go ahead and solve for C. So what that's going to look like is I'm just do a little minus A. So C now equals 169 minus A. Okay, so I just solved that equation for C. No reason why. It was just there. You could have solved for A. It would have been just fine. Okay, so you just solve for one of them. And then you go ahead and you plug that in. So In the specific, now where I see that C right here, I'm going to go and plug in 169 minus A instead. Okay, so now we just want to go ahead and solve this guy. So I'll distribute the 5.5 in here. And when I do that, let's see, I get a 9 to 9.5 minus 5.50a plus, just bring down that 9.40a equals that total. Now we can combine like terms. So I have these a's and keep the sign with it out front with those a's. So I have 9 to 9.5. And if I do minus 5.5 a's, combine it with positive 9.4 a's, I get plus 3.9 a's. We want to subtract that 9 to 9.5 from both sides. And if I do 1202.5 minus that 9 to 9.5, I get 273. And then get that a by itself, so just divide both sides by 3.9, and I get a equals 70. And some people might just stop there because they think, oh, I got a variable and I solved for it. But if we go back and reread the question, it said how many child tickets were sold. And what we actually figured out is we figured out what were the adult tickets sold, okay? So it said A equals 70. So what we're going to do is take that A equals 70 and go ahead and plug it in here. And we know that the child tickets is 169 minus the 70, okay? So if we do, let's put C equals 169 minus the 70. And when we do that, it looks like we get 99 tickets. And that's it. That should do it.